The sky above Earth split open like paper. Clouds vanished. Birds fled. And then it came. A giant black ship, shaped like a dagger, appeared in low orbit. It hummed with power, casting a shadow over half of Asia. In space, the command bridge of the Zarnok Empire ship buzzed with activity. Blue-skinned aliens in sharp metal-lined uniforms stood in silence. Eyes locked on Earth's spinning surface, Lord Varnan stepped forward. He was tall, cold, and proud. His armor shimmered with violet energy. His 3 eyes scanned the planet below with disgust. "So this is Earth," he said, voice deep and echoing. Unorganized, primitive, loud. His second-in-command, Officer Griel, bowed. "Awaiting your command, Supreme Warlord." Varnan raised a hand. "Prepare Earth for submission." "Activating global announcement beacon," Griel replied. A silver orb rose from the ship's hull and aimed down. Across Earth, screens flickered, phones lit up, airwaves shifted. Then every device on the planet displayed one terrifying sight: Lord Varnan's massive face. His voice thundered through TVs, radios, phones, and even baby monitors. "People of Earth, you are now under control of the Zarnok Empire. Surrender immediately. Resistance will be ... painful." There was silence. A second passed, then another dot, then ... laughter. A lot of it everywhere, from teenagers in Tokyo to old ladies in Texas. People were giggling, howling, and gasping for breath. On a military base, a general spilled his coffee. "This a prank," he muttered. Eyes wide. In a high school classroom, students started recording the broadcast. By the time Varnan finished his message, the internet had already exploded. Within 10 minutes, the speech was auto-tuned into a song. "Painful, you're under con." It blasted on TikTok. One girl danced to it in her kitchen. By the time the Zarnok bridge received data from their scanners, Earth had turned the invasion speech into a global meme. Varnan blinked. Are they laughing?" Officer Griel checked his readings. "Sir, they are not frightened. They are entertained." Another officer interrupted. "My lord, Earth communications are rapidly spreading videos mocking your speech. One features your head edited onto a chicken." Varnan turned slowly. "A chicken, yes, supreme one, with subtitles." The screen lit up behind them. A video played. Lord Varnan's face flapped on a chicken's body. "When the alien warlord shows up uninvited," the caption read. Griel cleared his throat. "There's more. They've given you a nickname. Space Grandpa." "What?" Varnan's voice shook the walls. But the officers didn't flinch. They were too stunned. The Zarnok Empire had crushed thousands of worlds. Their technology erased cities in seconds. Their name alone caused fear across the galaxy. But Earth made jokes. On the screen, another meme played. This time, Varnan's voice was mixed with disco music. Humans were dancing to it in clubs. "Is this how Earth responds to invasion?" Varnan asked. Griel whispered, "I think yes." Small red light flashed on the control panel. Incoming signal. From Earth, another officer said. "Put it through," Varnan ordered. The screen changed. A young man sat in front of a laptop, wearing sunglasses and sipping soda. He grinned. "Yo, Space Grandpa. That was the best threat I've ever seen. You got pipes, man. Drop your next single." Varnan's mouth fell open. The human winked and ended the call. The bridge went silent. Even the engine seemed to pause. "Perhaps their technology is more advanced than we assumed," Varnan muttered. "Double quotes, no, Supreme One," Griel said. "I believe they are just insane." Another video popped up. This time, humans were role-playing as Zarnok officers at home, wearing kitchen pots as helmets and pretending to invade their own houseplants. "Commander," one human said in a high-pitched voice, "the Roses have surrendered." The real officers stared in horror. "This is war mockery," Griel said. "They're turning us into a joke." Varnan's fists clenched. "Deploy Drone Unit 7. Let's scare them for real." The ship's underbelly opened. A fleet of dark drones flew toward Earth, entering the atmosphere with sonic screams. In New York, people looked up. "Oh, cool, free fireworks," someone shouted. They filmed it. On live stream, a kid threw popcorn at a drone. The drone scanned him. "Potential threat detected," it announced. The kid laughed. You sound like Siri with a cold. Back on the ship, Varnon slammed a fist on the control table. Why aren't they running, screaming, hiding? Greel looked pale. I don't think they do that, Supreme One. I think they joke first. Maybe always. A sharp alarm rang. Sir, a human has uploaded a dance challenge based on your invasion. Varnon looked at the screen. It showed 10 people in a park doing a dance called the Surrender Shuffle. They were spinning, pointing at the sky, then falling dramatically. The caption read, How to Greet Space Grandpa Properly. Hashtag Alien Invasion Challenge. Varnon turned slowly. This planet is cursed. Another officer spoke, requests from the Galactic Archive. They want a copy of the memes. For historical purposes, Varnon's voice was cold. End transmission. Shut down all signals, and prepare a report. Greel hesitated. Report, Sir Varnon, turned to the window and looked down at Earth. Title it, First Contact Failed. Planet Unconquerable. Reason, Humor Overload, Greel scribbled. Anything else, my lord. Varnon sighed. Send a message to the Emperor. Tell him Earth is not ready for domination. He paused. They are too dangerous and too unpredictable. The lights dimmed as the ship began to back away. But in the silence, one last video. Played on the bridge, it showed a cat wearing a Zarnak helmet, standing on 2 legs. A human voice spoke over it. Earth surrenders. But only if we get to keep the cat. The bridge crew didn't say a word. No one laughed, no one cried. They just stared in quiet terror. Varnon whispered, Never again. The ship disappeared into space below. Earth kept laughing and uploading and dancing. The invasion had failed, but Earth had gone viral. Lord Varnon did not sleep. Zarnak warlords didn't need sleep. But if he could, he wouldn't have. His invasion had failed. Not because of resistance, not because of weapons, but because of humor. He paced the silver floor of the command bridge. Eyes glowing with frustration. They laughed at us, he growled. They made songs about us. Officer Greel added quietly. Songs, dances, a cooking recipe called Space Grandpa Stew. Varnon's claws scratched across the control panel. This can't happen again. Earth will know fear. He turned sharply. Activate Protocol 9. Greel froze. Sir, you mean yes, the fear beam. Greel swallowed hard. The fear beam had only been used 3 times in Zarnak. History, once on a giant insect hive planet, once on a robot civilization, and once on their own recruits. During training, it melted minds, it broke hearts, it turned courage into screaming puddles. It's never failed, Varnon said. Let's see if laughter can survive this. The bridge lights turned red, warning sirens hummed like dark music. The floor opened, revealing a glowing black crystal the size of a meteor. It pulsed with something ancient. Target Earth's most crowded location, Varnon ordered. New York City, Greel replied. Millions of humans. The crystal rotated. Beams of purple light shot out, scanning Earth's surface in Times Square. 1,000 people were watching giant screens. Some were dancing, some were eating, some were holding phones. Then the beam hit, invisible to the eye, but powerful. It struck every mind at once. The fear beam sent raw terror through the population. Images of doom, whispers of death, the crushing knowledge of galactic insignificance. Silence fell. 1 second, 2.3.3. And then, double quotes, who? AAA. A man in a yellow banana costume started laughing. He ran around screaming, This is awesome! I'm in a space movie. Another woman held her head. I just felt like the universe blinked at me. Is this what enlightenment feels like? 2 teens pointed up at the sky. Do it again. Yeah, that was sick. On the Zarnak bridge, alarms screamed. Greel stared at the data feed. I don't understand. No panic, no chaos. Some humans seemed to be enjoying it. Varnon stomped toward the main screen. Impossible. Check the fear index. Greel typed fast. It's rising in a few zones. Wait, no, he stopped, turning it into a trend. The screen showed a new viral tag, #FearBeamChallenge videos. Started appearing. 1 showed a man pretending to fall dramatically under the beam. Another had people doing yoga under it. Someone edited the beam into a Marvel style. Movie trailer, Greel's voice cracked. Sir, humans are filming reaction videos to the fear beam. Varnon's face twitched. They're immune. Greel shook his head. No, worse. They're feeding off it. They've adapted. Another officer spoke up from the side. I have something. Sir, a report from a science post on Earth. Show it. A human scientist, wearing glasses and surrounded by plants, appeared on screen. She looked serious. To whom it may concern, alien or otherwise, believe the fear beam failed due to a concept we call dark humor. She held up a graph. Humans laugh at fear. We make jokes during disasters. It's how we cope. So when you send pure terror, we laugh harder. Varnon turned away. This planet is cursed with madness. A second screen, activated. It was live. A group of humans were interviewing people on the street. What did you feel when the beam hit you? One reporter asked. A man with face paint shrugged. Honestly, like I just remembered every test I failed in school? Kinda nostalgic. A woman laughed. I thought I was dying. But then I realized, hey, I'm always dying inside. Everyone laughed, even the reporter. Greel slowly turned to Varnon. My lord, I believe we've met a culture that feeds on fear. Another officer approached. Sir, permission to disable the beam. It's making some of our own crew uncomfortable. Varnon looked around. He hadn't noticed before, but some of the Zarnok officers were shaking. One was crying. My parents wanted me to be a space farmer, he mumbled. Greel took a step back. Sir, our own people are more affected than the humans. Varnon stared into space. They've reversed the effect. More laughter echoed through the ship's speakers. Another signal from Earth came through. Don't answer it, Varnon said. A video, the officer replied. Play it, he sighed. The screen lit up. It was the same banana costume man. He was standing under a rain of balloons. Dear Space Grandpa, he said, thanks for the brain massage. That beam made me feel like I just watched 5 seasons of trauma in 5 seconds. He gave a thumbs up. Do it again. The screen went dark. Silence fell again on the bridge, then dash splat. Something hit the window. Everyone jumped outside. Floating in orbit was a pizza box. Greel squinted. Sir, I believe someone launched fast food into orbit, addressed to you. Varnon read the writing, to Space Grandpa, we deliver anywhere. He closed his eyes. This is no longer an invasion, he said quietly. Greel waited. Varnon opened his eyes slowly. This is psychological warfare. Greel nodded. What shall we do next, my lord? Varnon turned to the console. Begin diplomatic procedures, Greel gasped. Peace talks. No, Varnon said. We're asking for help. Greel blinked. Sir Varnon nodded grimly. Yes, we need therapy. Behind them, the fear beam shut down and Earth kept laughing. The Zarnok ship floated silently above Earth. Inside, the air was tense. No one spoke. No one laughed, except Earth. Earth was still laughing and uploading, and dancing. Lord Varnon stood at the center of the bridge, staring at a spinning hologram. Of Earth, his eyes twitched. We've failed to threaten them, he said quietly. We've failed to terrify them. He turned to Officer Greel. Now we study them. Greel blinked, sir. Infiltration, observation, blending in. Varnon raised a clawed finger. We send one of our own to Earth. To learn their weaknesses from the inside. Greel looked around nervously. Volunteers. Silence. Every officer stared at the floor. No one moved. Finally, one voice squeaked, I'll go. All heads turned. It was Agent Zarn, the youngest intelligence. Cadet on the ship, barely 200 years old. He saluted sharply. I've read over 3,000 human files. I've seen every Earth movie uploaded since 1990. I know their behavior. Varnon narrowed his eyes. You're sure? Zarn nodded. I'll become one of them. Hours later, a small silver pod broke through Earth's atmosphere. Inside it, Agent Zarn sat in a human disguise. Skin-pink, eyes-blue, hair brown and messy. He wore jeans, a hoodie, and shoes that blinked with lights. He adjusted his collar nervously. Computer, he said. Confirm Earth disguise protocol. Activated, the pod replied. You are now a 27-year-old male named Kyle. Kyle Zarn repeated. Earth name, Strong. The pod landed behind a small building. Lights blinked. No one noticed. Zarn stepped out. He looked around. The air smelled like food, fuel, and something sweet. Donuts, the pod explained. XAR. Now Kyle Dash nodded. He had landed in the middle of a city called Cleveland. The humans were everywhere, walking, shouting, laughing. He scanned their behavior. Loud, random, confusing, perfect cover. He muttered. His first stop, a coffee shop inside. Music played. Humans sat at tables with glowing screens and cups. He approached the counter. A bored teenager looked up. "Hey, what can I get you?" Zarn hesitated. His translator word, your strongest bean juice. The teenager blinked. "Okay, large espresso?" "Yes," Zarn said proudly. "Extra earth, ... What? Never mind. I'll take it hot." He sat down. The drink came. He sipped it, his face twisted. "This is poison." A nearby customer laughed. "That's coffee, man." Zarn grinned. "I like poison." The customer laughed harder. "You're weird. I like that." Name tag. Lena. Zarn blinked. First human contact. Mission success. Lena leaned over. "You new in town?" He nodded. Double quotes. "Yes, very new. I come from a distant systema, sister city." She chuckled. "Cool. You should check out Laugh Lounge tonight. It's open mic. Comedy night. First-timers welcome. Open mic. You go up, say jokes. People laugh." Zarn's eyes widened. A room full of humans, voluntarily surrendering to humor. "Perfect," he said. "I will attend this open mic and conquer it." She smiled. "Okay, space cowboy." He flinched. "Don't call me that." That night, Zarn entered the Laugh Lounge, a small dark room with lights and laughter. Humans crowded around tables. A man on stage shouted into a stick with wires, a microphone. His internal system explained. Use it to project sound. Zarn watched, recording everything. Then Lena waved from the front. "You going up?" He nodded. Double quotes. "Yes, I will go up." Minutes later, a host called out, "Next up, Kyle, the new guy." Zarn walked up. Lights blinded him. He looked into the crowd. He cleared his throat. "Hello, fellow humans." Laughter. He blinked. That was not a joke. More laughter. He decided to continue. "Did you know? Earth animals are strange. The duck is a water bird that sounds like broken machinery. Quacking sound. Simulation activated." The crowd roared with laughter. He smiled. "It gets worse. Your cats knock objects off shelves. For no reason, even robots have logic." Lena screamed with laughter. Someone shouted, "Tell us more, Space Cowboy." Zarn leaned into the mic. "Space is cold, but not as cold as my landlord when rent is late." The place exploded. Zarn didn't stop. He made jokes about Earth toilets, traffic lights, humans clapping when planes land. He was on fire. They were falling apart with laughter. He stepped down to a standing ovation back in his seat. Lena gave him a high five. "You killed it. That was hilarious." "Killed?" He panicked. "Who died?" "She." Laughed. "It's a good thing you were funny." Zarn sat back, stunned. Humor is power, he thought. Laughter equals control. This was valuable intelligence. That night, Zarn sent a report back to the ship. Day 1 discovered new human ritual, stand-up comedy, massive energy output. Audience enters trance state, potential cultural weapon. He paused, then added, "I may have found my calling." The next day, a new video appeared online. Kyle, the alien comedian, is he even real? Millions watched it. One commenter wrote, "I swear this guy isn't human. No one's that funny." Another replied, "Wouldn't surprise me if he was an alien." Back on the Zarnock ship, officers gathered around a monitor. They stared at the footage. "That's Agent Zarn," one whispered. Greel looked horrified. He's become one of them. Varnon narrowed his eyes. Or worse, they've made him one of their stars. He turned slowly. "Prepare a retrieval mission. But sir, he's deep in their society." And then we go. Undercover. Back on Earth, Kyle Zarn was on a comedy tour. He wasn't just learning from humans now. He was entertaining them, feeding off their chaos, and loving it. He stood in a dressing room, looking into a mirror. He smiled at his reflection. Maybe. Earth isn't so bad. Outside, the crowd cheered. They weren't afraid, but they were watching, and for the Zarnok Empire. That might be more dangerous than fear. The Zarnok warship hovered in orbit, still silent, watching, and losing, inside the command deck. Lord Varnon stood frozen, staring at the latest human intelligence report. His face was pale, his jaw clenched. "This," he whispered, "is war." Greel stepped closer. "Sir, if I may, you may not, Greel." Varnon slammed his fist onto the control table. Dozen screens lit up behind him, all showed the same thing. Videos, images, animations, cartoons, every one of them mocked the Zarnok Empire. Space Grandpa tries to order a burger, not to. Invade Earth, a Zarnok tutorial. Alien's first day on Earth accidentally becomes a comedian. Each video had millions of views. Likes, shares, comments, double quotes, sir, said another officer. Earth's meme activity has reached critical levels. Varnon turned slowly. Meme activity. Greel nodded grimly. They are using humor as digital ammunition. The main screen shifted. A new video had just gone viral. It showed Varnon's face deep-faked onto a dancing baby. The caption read, "When the Galactic warlord gets rejected by Earth, the bridge crew stayed quiet." Varnon looked like he was about to explode. "This is humiliation." Greel tapped his screen. "They've named the conflict, sir." Varnon raised an eyebrow. "What conflict? The one we're in?" "They call it the meme war." Silence. Utter silence. Then the screen, glitched, thousands of new memes appeared every second. New ones, different ones, targeting the Zarnok Empire's ships, uniforms, weapons even. Their walking style, a special one had gone. Mega viral, a slowed-down video of a Zarnok warrior tripping over a curb during landing. The video was titled, "When Your Empire Conquers Galaxies, but Not Sidewalks." Greel winced. That clip has 500 million views worldwide, galaxy-wide. Even the Galactic Council's children are watching it. Varnon grabbed his head. This is worse than defeat. It's entertainment. He turned to the weapons console. Launch EMP pulses. Cripple their internet. Greel blinked. "Sir, you heard me." "Silence their memes." "Sir, with all due respect, that could trigger global panic. Do it." A moment later, energy beams fired from the ship. They spread across Earth like invisible fog. Screens went dark. WI-V dropped. Phones died. Silence at last, but only for a moment. Then came the screaming. Not in terror, in outrage. Millions of humans came outside, holding phones in the air like ancient torches. No Wi-Fi? Where's my feed? Unplug the world. Humans began filming with analog cameras. Others used walkie-talkies to spread new jokes. Within hours, Earth had created offline memes. One man painted a joke on a giant bedsheet and hung it from his apartment. "I survived the meme blackout of 2025 Space Grandpa can't stop the LOS." The Zarnok ship trembled as signal detectors caught hand-drawn memes floating into orbit via balloons. Varnon stared in disbelief. "They're sending jokes." By air, Greel spoke with dread. "They've gone analog, sir," another officer added. "Sir, they've begun printing newspapers again, full of satire. They call it Meme Times." Varnon's eyes twitched. "Enough. This ends now," he paced. "Hack their networks. Flood them with our memes." Greel blinked. "Double quotes, sir. We've never made memes before." "Then learn." 30 hours later, the Zarnok meme unit launched its first digital attack. They posted 5 memes using alien humor algorithms. One showed a picture of Earth with a caption, "Earth 80% water, 100% failure." No likes, no shares, just one comment. "Try harder, Space Grandpa," Varnon screamed. "They don't even understand our jokes." Greel looked exhausted. "They communicate in references, sarcasm, irony. Our AI can't keep up." Another officer entered. "Sir, we've been countermemed. Show me." The screen lit up. A video showed Varnon's entire speech auto-tuned and edited into a romantic breakup scene. Earth was the X. The caption read, "When your world leaves you unread." Even some Zarnok crew members chuckled. Varnon snapped. "Traitors." Greel cleared his throat. "There is one more thing, sir. I swear, Greel. If it involves another banana costume?" "No, sir. It's Agent Zarn." Varnon froze. "Our infiltrator." Yes, he's become very popular. The screen changed again. Zarn, still in human form, was now hosting a late-night comedy show. Humans loved him. He had fans, followers, and a new nickname, Kyle, the Cosmic Comedian. Varnon's voice was barely a whisper. He has defected, Greel shrugged, or adapted. Another officer said, "Sir, he's doing a live show right now. Do you want to see it?" Varnon closed his eyes. "Why not? Show me what betrayal looks like." The screen lit up. XARN stood under bright lights, grinning. "So," he said, "the Zarnok tried to shut down the internet, which is like trying to stop a flood with a spoon." Laughter, and they launched an EMP, which failed because humans just switched to screaming memes out loud. Louder laughter. "Oh, and don't worry. They tried their own memes. I saw one that said, 'Earth, 80% water, 100% failure.' Honestly, I give them points for trying, 0 points for effort." The crowd howled. Varnon covered his face. Zarn continued, "You know what the real problem is? The Zarnok don't get the joke. And here's the punchline." He looked straight into the camera. "Earth doesn't fight back with weapons." He paused. "We fight back with weirdness." The audience stood and clapped. Grial turned to Varnon. "What now, sir?" Varnon didn't answer. He walked to the main console and stared out the window below. Earth was glowing with laughter. Art, noise, chaos, unpredictable, uncontrollable, UNQUERABLEVV. Varnon sighed. "We've lost the meme war." Greel hesitated. "What's our next move?" Varnon whispered. "We study them more closely." Greel raised an eyebrow. "You want to try again?" Varnon shook his head. "No, we're sending a peace offering, really?" "Yes," Varnon said as he pressed a button. A large tube was loaded with Zarnok tech. Then he dropped in a single Earth-made gift, a yellow rubber chicken. "Send this," he said, "to the one they call Kyle." The arena lights flashed, the cameras turned on. Billions of viewers across Earth, and the stars held their breath. This was it, the greatest showdown in entertainment history. On one side, General Klarn, the Zarnok Empire's most feared war commander, ruthless, tactical, cold. On the other, Kyle the Cosmic Comedian, warlord versus a wisecracker. But this wasn't a battle of ships, this was a battle of words. A week earlier, settle this with a duel, not with weapons, with wit. One stage, one mic, 1 hour, the winner would earn galactic reputation. The loser would face, turn to his last hope, General Klarn. "You will destroy this, Kyle." Klarn was silent. He stood 2 meters tall, covered in bone-black armor. He said, "Let's see how space metal handles fire." Lena, his Earth guide, looked concerned. "This isn't just comedy anymore. It's politics, reputation, power." Kyle cracked his knuckles. "Good thing I've got punchlines. Now, journalists, scientists, and INFLUENCERS. In the middle, a round stage with 2 microphones, one glowed blue, the other glowed red, a 6-side referee floated between them. "Welcome to the first galactic humor duel." He shouted. The crowd cheered, introducing first, from the Zarnok Empire, General Klarn. The stage shook as Klarn stomped in the crowd, gasped. He looked like a walking war machine. He didn't wave, he didn't smile, he just glared. And his challenger, from Earth, the meme legend himself, Kyle, the Cosmic Comedian. Kyle jogged on stage in jeans, a t-shirt, and a glowing cape that said, "I come in peace," and punchlines. The crowd went wild. Klarn's eye lenses narrowed. Kyle winked. The referee spoke. "Each contestant will take turns. 1 minute per round, 3 rounds. Audience decides the winner." He looked at Klarn. "You may begin." Klarn stepped to the mic. His voice rumbled like thunder. "I have destroyed worlds with less noise than your jokes." A pause. "I have silenced galaxies with my presence." He pointed at Kyle. "You are not a threat. You are a distraction." Kyle smiled. "My turn." The referee nodded. Kyle strolled up. He tapped the mic. "Testing. Testing. Is this thing on, or did Klarn's ego block the signal?" Laughter. "Big guys. Intense, huh? He doesn't smile. I checked. He doesn't even blink." Klarn didn't react. Kyle walked in a circle. "I read Klarn's diary." The end. Roars of laughter. Clarn tilted his head slightly. Kyle leaned in. I gotta ask, is that your real face? Or just the inside of a toaster? Even the referee chuckled. Round 1. Over the crowd voted on their pads. Score appeared on the big screen. Kyle, 89%. Clarn, 11%. Clarn's shoulders TENSED. The referee pointed. Round 2, begin. Clarence stepped forward. His voice was colder now. I once crushed a rebel army by standing still. I don't understand your jokes, because they lack structure, precision, discipline. He raised one arm. You mock war, but war builds empires. Murmur moved through the alien audience. Kyle nodded slowly. Good speech, General. Gave me chills. He walked to the mic. Then again, that might have been your colon. What do you wear? Fear, by Zarnok. Laughter again. Kyle paced. Clarn says he stood still and won a battle. That's not scary, that's lazy. The aliens howled. He doesn't understand humor. No surprise. The guy blinks like once every election cycle. More. Laughs. Kyle pointed at him. This guy's idea of fun is watching a rocky road. Even some Zarnok officers in the crowd cracked smiles. Score popped up. Kyle, 92%. Clarn, 8%. Clarn's fists curled. Varnan, watching from the Zarnok command ship, growled. This is a disaster. Greel whispered. Sir Kyle is too powerful. The final round began. The referee turned to Clarn. Final chance, General Clarn. Said nothing for a long moment, then stepped forward. His voice shook the lights. You laugh now. But laughter fades. Fear never leaves. He stared at Kyle. You are one being. I am an empire. I don't need applause. I need silence. And with that, he stepped back. A deep silence fell. For a moment, the crowd didn't know what to do. Then, Kyle stepped up. He waited, let the tension build. Then, he took the mic. Wow, that was dramatic, he shrugged. Don't get me wrong, Clarn. You've got presence. You've got voice. You've got ... rage. But you know what I've got? He turned slowly. An audience that's still laughing. The arena roared again. You said laughter fades? He shook his head. Wrong. Laughter echoes. Jokes last longer than empires. Memes live forever. The lights flared. The crowd stood. Clarn wants silence. Glowing numbers. Kyle, 99%. Clarn, 1%. The arena erupted. Confetti exploded. Clarn stood still. Then, slowly, he said quietly, Let's go home later. That night, Kyle sat with Lena on the ship that brought him to the duel. She grinned. You crushed him. He laughed. I roasted a galactic warlord on live interstellar TV. She handed him a device, a gift from the Galactic Council. He opened it. Inside was a medal shaped like a microphone. Engraved were the words, Defender of Laughter. They better bring better writers. Lena laughed. But, Kyla, yeah, she smirked. Next week, you're opening for a Martian juggler. Kyle groaned. From galactic duels to juggling acts, she winked. Welcome to showbiz. The Zarnok ship hovered far from Earth now, distant, wounded, quiet. Inside, the silence was louder than a battlefield. The mighty war empire had been defeated, not with bombs, not with lasers, but with jokes. Lord Varnan sat alone in the dark conference room. The lights were dim, the screens were off. His helmet sat beside him, untouched. He hadn't spoken in 3 days. Not since Kyle the comedian defeated General Clarn in front of a galactic audience. Not since Zarnok's name became a universal punchline. Greel walked in slowly. Sir. Varnan didn't look up. Griel stepped closer. There's been a situation. Varnan's voice was dry. What now? Did Earth turn our battle logs into a dance video? Greel hesitated. Yes. Varnan blinked. You're serious? Greel nodded, embarrassed. They called it Zarnok Shuffle. When you fail to conquer. Earth but still try to groove. It has 900 million views. Varnan stood up slowly. His shoulders slumped. Greel, he said softly, I cannot do this anymore. Greel frowned. Sir, I have invaded moons, crushed rebellion, silenced dissent. I ruled by fear. He looked out the window. Now, I feel something new. Greel tilted his head. What? Varnan's hand trembled. I feel emotions. Greel stepped back. Sir, no, not that. Not here. I don't understand it, Varnon said. I saw a video of a cat wearing a Zarnok helmet, and he gasped. I smiled. Grial gasped too. Sir Zarnok, commanders do not smile. I know. Varnon started pacing. Then I watched another video. Humans laughing, crying, connecting. It was a man proposing to his partner using a meme projector. Grial looked panicked. Sir, you've been infected. Varnon stared at him. With what Grial whispered the word, human feelings. Varnon stumbled back into his chair. What is happening to me? Grial ran to the console. I need help. Emotional support protocol. Activating a robotic voice answered, Emotional Processing Unit online. First-time user detected. Welcome, Lord Varnon. Varnon growled. Shut it down. Wait. No. I need. Answers. The screen lit up. .acom. AI voice began speaking. You are experiencing shame, confusion, and early signs of self-reflection. This is normal during first contact with Earth's culture. Grial blinked. Is this permanent? Unknown. Some beings recover, others start podcasts. Varnon's hands covered his face. I used to strike fear with a glare. Grial nodded. Now you generate fan art. Varnon slammed the table. I must understand this madness. He stood tall. I'm going to Earth. Grial's eyes widened. Sir, no. They'll destroy you again with kindness. I have no choice, Varnon said. I need answers. I need, he paused, closure. One day later, a small shuttle landed outside an Earth comedy studio. Lena was the first to spot it. Kyle, she called, running down the hall. He looked up from his laptop. What's wrong? There's a Zarnok shuttle outside. Kyle froze. Another invasion, no one passenger. She handed him a tablet. It's Lord Varnon. Kyle blinked, the actual space grandpa. Yep, Kyle whistled. Okay, this just got weird. The studio doors opened. Lord Varnon entered no armor. No guards, just robes and a helmet under his arm. Everyone stared. Lena whispered to Kyle. He's not here to fight. Kyle nodded. He walked up to the alien warlord and offered a handshake. Varnon stared at it, then slowly shook it. I am not here to conquer, Varnon said. I am here to feel. Kyle raised an eyebrow. Feel. Varnon looked at the crowd at first. I hated your jokes, your noise, your chaos. He paused. Now, I don't understand how you survive without them. Everyone stayed quiet. Varnon turned to Kyle. You defeated me, but I don't think you were trying to. Kyle shrugged. I just wanted you to understand us. Varnon nodded slowly. That's why I'm here. Teach me. Kyle smiled. Then let's start with something simple. 1 hour later, Lord Varnon stood on stage. Spotlight, microphone, A. Full human audience in front of him, he held the mic like it was a weapon. He took a breath. My name is Varnon. I once commanded the Zarnok Armada, now he sighed. I just want to understand Earth. Polite chuckles. Varnon continued. I tried to invade, failed. Tried to scare you, failed. I even tried memes. He looked down. They failed too. He looked up again. But you know what? You never tried to hurt us back. The room was quiet. You sent laughs. You made jokes. You mocked me into self-reflection. A beat. And then, you made me famous. The audience laughed gently. Varnon looked down. I used to conquer planets. Now people ask for my autograph. On plushies, laughter rose. He smiled a real smile, and for some reason, I don't hate it. The room exploded. Applause, laughter, cheers. Kyle clapped the loudest. Lena wiped a tear. Back on the Zarnok ship, Grial watched the feed. He stared, stunned, then whispered, he's healing. Behind him, junior officers passed around snacks. One leaned in. Sir, have you seen the fan edit? Varnon hugging a cat, backed by emotional piano music. Grial sighed. Just play it. That night, Varnon sat on a rooftop beside Kyle. They looked out over the glowing city. Earth is strange, Varnon said. Kyle chuckled. You should see it during the holidays. Varnon turned to him. Maybe we never needed to conquer. Kyle smiled. Maybe you just needed to connect. Varnon looked at the stars. I think I'll stay for a while. Kyle nodded. I think the galaxy's gonna love that. The Zarnok High Command was in chaos. Not because of war, not because of rebellion, but because Lord Varnon, the galaxy's most feared warlord, had requested therapy and worse. He wanted it from a human. Inside the Zarnok flagship, officers whispered in panic. He's broken. He's infected with feelings. Painted blue and yellow with flowers on the hull. The words, Dr. Marla Lane, licensed therapist, blinked on the side. Griel groaned. This is it, the end of Zarnok dignity. Inside the ship, Lord Varnon stood tall, but his eyes looked tired. He wore no armor, only a long robe and a badge that said, Client. He turned to Griel. Is she here? Griel nodded, sighing. She just landed. She brought snacks. Snacks. Griel held up a clear container. Cookies, sir. Varnon blinked. Earth weapons are truly unpredictable. Moments later, Dr. Marla Lane walked into the war room. She was calm, maybe 40, wore a gray sweater, glasses, and a kind smile. Hello, Varnon, she said gently. He stood straighter. I am ready for my session. She nodded and looked around. Do you have a couch? Griel stepped forward. Zarnok ships do not contain furniture designed for weakness. Marla raised an eyebrow. Then you'll need to sit. On feelings, Varnon hesitated. Is that a metaphor? She patted a small fold-out chair she brought. He sighed and sat down, armor creaking. Marla sat across from him. She opened a notebook. So, what's been bothering you? Varnon stared at her. Then he exhaled, a lot. For the next hour, the unthinkable happened. Lord Varnon, conqueror of galaxies. About shame, about failure, about how it felt to be laughed at. To lose power, to feel powerless. I thought fear was control, he said quietly. But Earth didn't fear me. They laughed. And they didn't die. Marla nodded slowly. Sounds like you're scared? He froze. Me? Scared. He stared at the floor. I don't know who I am anymore. Marla wrote something, then said softly, You're more than a title, Varnon. You're not just a warlord. You're someone trying to understand the world. Varnon rubbed his face. Do humans always speak like this? Only when we're listening. Outside the room, Griel watched the session through the glass. Behind him, Zarnak officers whispered again. He's really doing it. He's opening up. Should we be worried? Griel crossed his arms. No. He took a deep breath. We should be learning. Back inside, Marla leaned forward. Do you have memories from before the war? Varnon nodded slowly. My first victory, my father's pride, the stars outside my childhood dome. He paused. My brother used to make music. It was forbidden, but he did it anyway. What happened to him? Varnon's voice cracked. I told the High Command. There was a long silence. Marla's voice was gentle. And do you regret that? Varnon stared at the wall. I do now. By the end of the session, Varnon looked different. Not weaker, not smaller, but quieter. Softer he stood. Marla smiled. You've made progress. He looked at her, then reached out and shook her hand. No one has ever. Listen to me like this? She nodded. Feelings aren't failure, Varnon. They're the beginning of something new. He turned to leave, but then stopped. Would you? Galactic news exploded. Some laughed, some mocked, but others listened. Soon. Other Zarnok officers began booking appointments. Junior staff quietly requested emotional coaching. One even asked, does she treat battle fatigue? Marla opened a clinic on the ship. They called it the Empathy Chamber, and inside it, generals cried. Soldiers wrote poetry. Even Griel began journaling. On Earth, Kyle got the update from Lena. There, seeing a human therapist, he asked. She nodded, and it's working. Kyle leaned back in his chair. Well, he said, smiling, looks like we've finally invaded them. Varnon stood before the Zarnok High Council. Not to declare war, but to declare change. I have seen Earth, he said. I have felt what they feel. I have understood. He looked around the room. For too long, we believed emotion was weakness. But it is power, because it connects us. The chamber was silent. Then, one council member stood. Slowly, I had a brother too. Varnon's eyes widened. I told the High Command, the counselor whispered. Everyone froze. Then, one by one, they began to speak. And just like that, an empire began to heal in the corner of the galaxy. Aboard a warship now filled with plants and soft lights, Varnon sat beside Marla. She poured tea into 2 small cups. He sipped carefully. "It still tastes strange," he admitted. "You'll get used to it." She smiled. He looked at the stars. "Thank you," he said. She raised an eyebrow. "For what? For making me feel something I've never felt before?" She waited. He took a deep breath. Peace. The stars glittered above Earth like a million blinking eyes. But now, many of those stars were watching one human, a man who once told jokes at a coffee shop, a man who once went by the name Kyle, the comedian. Now, he had a new title, Ambassador Kyle of Earth. It started with a simple idea. After therapy helped Lord Varnon, peace talks began. The Zarnok Empire opened communications with other species, but most still feared them, or laughed at them, or both. No. One knew how to talk to them without feeling threatened. Except Kyle, every time he spoke. Tension faded. People smiled. Enemies listened. He told stories, made jokes. But under the laughter, he was doing something more powerful. He was creating understanding. And the galaxy noticed out one day. Earth's United Council called him into a tall glass building in Geneva. He came wearing sneakers and a shirt that said, "Speak softly, carry punchlines." An older diplomat approached him. "Mr. Kyle," she said, "how would you feel about being something more than a comedian?" Kyle blinked. "More?" The woman nodded. "We'd like you to be Earth's first intergalactic ambassador." He stared at her, then said slowly, "Does it come with snacks?" Weeks later, Kyle stood on the bridge of a Galactic Council cruiser, wearing a sleek black suit with a tiny microphone pin on his collar. Next to them, Lena walked through the mission plan. "First stop is the Zephyr system," she said. "Blue oceans, floating cities, strict culture. No jokes allowed." Kyle frowned. "No jokes. They find humor offensive." Kyle sighed. "So, I guess fart jokes are off the table." She smiled. "Definitely." The ship landed on Zephyr Prime. A glowing city floated on clouds. Clean, silent. Cold Kyle stepped out, smiling gently. A group of tall, pale beings approached. Their robes shimmered. Their faces were unreadable. One stepped forward. "I am Minister Kelton. We do not appreciate your Earth concept of humor." Kyle bowed slightly. "I understand. I'm not here to joke." Kelton raised an eyebrow. "Then why are you smiling?" Kyle looked him in the eye. "Because peace begins with warmth, and a smile is the simplest welcome I know." Silence. Then Kelton gave the smallest, softest nod. "You may speak." Inside their hall, Kyle gave a speech. "No jokes, just truth. I came from a planet that laughs to survive," he said. "When things go wrong, we make fun of them. We don't do it to mock others, we do it to keep going." He looked around. "No, some of you find that strange, maybe even insulting. But I believe, deep down, we all want to feel safe, and laughter, for us, is safety." Kelton stood. "We do not laugh," he said, "but we listen." That night, for the first time in Zephyr history, someone chuckled just once, just softly, but it echoed for miles. Kyle's second visit was to the Grawl Confederation, a warrior race. They respected power, strength, combat. When Kyle landed, they greeted him with 2 things, a spear and a challenge. "You must defeat one of us in the arena," said Warlord Druin. Kyle blinked. With a weapon, Druin shook his head. "No, with words." He pointed to the arena. "Make our people stop fighting. Only then will we listen." In the massive arena, Grawl warriors stood in circles, scarred, tough, silent. Kyle stepped into the center. No armor, just a mic. He took a breath, He said, "Earth has a saying. If someone's angry, feed them." The crowd blinked, he continued, because no one throws punches on a full stomach. A few warriors tilted their heads. He raised one hand. "Where I come from, we don't fight with fists. We fight with awkward dinner conversations." The crowd chuckled, real chuckles. He pointed at one warrior. "You ever had your mom ask when you're getting married in front of your ex?" The warrior grunted, then laughed loud. Suddenly, the others joined in. The air shifted, and for the first time in Grawl history, the arena ended in applause. Kyle returned to Earth weeks later. Tired, smiling, successful. The council welcomed him with open arms. "Your words have calmed 5 systems." One ambassador said, 3 enemies are now allies, said another. And Zephyr Prime wants to host a galactic comedy exchange. Kyle scratched his head. All from telling a few stories. Lena stepped beside him. No, she said, from making them feel human. But peace wasn't welcomed by everyone. Deep in the outer systems, a group called the Silence watched from the shadows. They hated laughter. They hated emotion. They wanted control. One hooded figure growled, "He's spreading weakness." Another hissed, "He must be stopped." A third whispered, "Bring him to us." Back on Earth, Kyle was on stage again. A small venue, just like old times. He was telling a story about his first alien mealsome, glowing soup that hissed when stirred. "I didn't eat it. I apologized to it." The crowd laughed. Then suddenly his earpiece buzzed. Lena's voice, urgent. "Kyle, we have a problem." He stopped mid-sentence. "What is it?" "There's a message. From a system we've never mapped. They're requesting a meeting." Kyle frowned. "Another peace talk." "No," Lena said. "They didn't use words. They used silence. Darkness, cold, still. That was all the probe recorded. It had been sent to investigate. The unknown signal, but halfway through its mission, it stopped responding. No damage, no attack, just silence. And when the signal reached Earth, the message was short, one sentence burned into the screen. "Send the voice that laughs." Kyle sat in the Earth Council's chamber, arms crossed, a half-finished coffee in front of him. "This has to be a joke," he said. Lena shook her head. "I don't think these people do jokes." Kyle leaned forward. "Who are they?" "The Council." Leaders stood. They call themselves the Silent Ones, a hidden faction from deep space. Unknown location, unknown species, no communication in over 300 years. Kyle frowned. "And now they're asking for me." The ambassador nodded. Double quotes, "They requested Earth's funniest mind by name." Kyle blinked. "I told too many jokes, didn't I?" 2 days later, Kyle boarded a diplomatic ship headed toward uncharted space. Only Lena joined him. The rest of the crew was remote. No one wanted to get too close. The star map flickered, a black hole of coordinates. No planets, no stars, just the signal. It pulsed slowly, steady, strong, like a heartbeat, with no body. Kyle stared out the window. "I don't." "Like this?" Lena nodded. "Neither do I." But they kept going. After 6 hours, the stars disappeared. All of them around the ship was only darkness, even the ship's lights. Worse, silence that screamed a pressure in the chest, like someone holding back tears for centuries. Lena clutched her seat. "I feel it," she whispered. Grief. So heavy, Kyle swallowed hard. They don't want jokes, they want answers. Suddenly, a shape appeared in the void. A massive structure. Not a ship, not a planet. More like mouth without a voice. The ship was pulled inside. No resistance, just darkness. They landed in a chamber that looked like glass, but reflected nothing. Kyle stepped out slowly. No guards, no sounds, just air that felt like it had been holding its breath. Forever then, they appeared dot figures in long robes, their faces hidden, their footsteps made. No sound. They surrounded Kyle in a circle. Then one spoke not aloud. Kyle tensed. "And you are..." "We are the Silent Ones. We once ruled 1,000 systems until laughter ended it." Lena's voice cracked. "You fear humor? We fear what it brings. Emotion, rebellion, thought. We silenced our people to survive. But your voice breaks our walls." Kyle stepped forward, heart pounding. "I'm not a weapon," the silence answered. "You are worse." Kyle looked around. This is what happens when you lock everything away. Pain, joy, tears. He pointed to them. "You're not powerful. You're just hiding. We'll forget your jokes. Forget your name. Become one of us." Lena gasped. Kyle run, but he didn't move. He took a deep breath, then whispered, "Knock, knock." The air froze. The figures paused. "Who is there?" Kyle smiled faintly, interrupting. "Cow." "Interrupting moo." Lena blinked. "Seriously?" Kyle shrugged. They've never heard a joke before. And to his shock, one of the Silent Ones trembled just a little. A sound escaped so small, so strange, it wasn't a laugh, but it was the crack in a dam. Kyle stepped closer. Do you know what humans do when things get bad? He said. When we lose people, when we fall, when we break, we cry. He looked around. But we also laugh, not because it's funny, but because it helps us keep breathing. One of the silent ones fell to their knees. The others watched silently. Kyle continued. You've been holding your breath for centuries. He reached into his bag, pulled out an old photo. Him, his dad. My mom died. His voice broke. It saved me. I didn't need orders or silence. I needed that moment. The silent ones shuddered, and one by one, they removed their hoods. They weren't monsters, just people. Pale, tired tears running silently down their cheeks. They had been holding in too much. And Kyle leaned back, exhausted. I didn't fight them. I just reminded them of what. He looked out at the stars. That they're allowed to feel. The ship jumped back to normal space, and for the first time in galactic history, the system of the Silent Ones appeared on maps. Open bright, inviting, they sent one final message to Earth. The voice that laughs reminded us how to live. The chamber was massive, larger than a planet. Thousands of alien leaders sat in curved rows watching the center stage. Above them floated glowing banners from every known civilization. Earth's blue and green flag fluttered among them. But this wasn't a war summit. It wasn't a peace treaty. It was a vote. And at the heart of that vote stood Kyle. One man, one microphone. One last chance. Earth had been nominated for a historic position. Lead voice of the Galactic Unity Network. The role would give Earth influence, respect hand, a permanent seat among the ruling species. But many empires still doubted humans too. Emotional. Too chaotic. Too funny. They don't take things seriously. One ambassador had said. They joke while galaxies fall. Another muttered. So the Galactic Council made one final decision. Let Earth speak. One person, one speech, one chance. Kyle stood behind the stage curtain. His heart thudded hard in his chest. Lena stood beside him. She adjusted his collar. You okay? He smiled nervously. Nope. She handed him a card. I wrote a few safe lines. You don't have to be funny, just formal. Kyle looked at the card, then tore it in half. I didn't get this far by being safe, Lena smiled, then go out there and be you. A gong sounded. Kyle stepped onto the silver-lit platform. Billions watched from ships, stations, planets, and homeworlds. He stood at the mic, paused, took a breath, then said, Hi, I'm Kyle. I used to tell jokes in a coffee shop where the espresso machine made more noise than the audience. Chuckles rippled across the alien rows. He nodded. I didn't come here to ask for power. I came to remind you what laughter really means. He stepped forward. When I met the Zarnok Empire, they wanted to crush Earth. So I told a joke. Laughter. When I met the Zephyr, they banned humor. I made one of them giggle in his tea. More laughter. When I met the Grawl, they handed me a weapon. I gave them a mic, and the crowd leaned in. I stood before the silent ones and told them knock-knock jokes. He paused. They cried, silence now, but not cold silence. Heavy, warm, listening, Kyle continued. We humans joke, not because things are perfect, he looked around the room, but because they're not. He pointed toward the stars above. We live on a fragile, blue rock spinning in space, surrounded by problems we can't always solve, but we laugh anyway, because laughter is hope, it's connection, it's survival with sound. He grinned. Sure, we mess around. We prank, we meme, but when it matters, we listen, we care, we show up, and we use humor to heal. He held up a small Earth flag. I'm not asking for votes. I'm asking for a future where we don't forget to smile. And then he paused. The room waited. He smiled wide. One last thing. Why did the alien cross the universe? Murmurs. He leaned in close. To find someone who'd finally laugh with them. For a full 10 seconds, there was only stillness, then dash applause. It started slow. From one corner, then two, then more, then it roared. Zarnak generals clapped with metal hands. Grawl warriors pounded their chests. Zephyr ministers nodded with rare smiles. Even the silent ones watching from their system sent a pulse of light across the sky. Backstage, Lena covered her mouth. He did it. An Earth diplomat whispered, "I think we just won the galaxy." The final vote was cast using light signals from every homeworld dot above Kyle. The council screen flickered, then flashed Earth. 91% approved. The crowd exploded. Kyle blinked. "We actually won." Lena ran out and hugged him. "You just made Earth the voice of unity." He laughed. Not bad for a guy who once bombed at a wedding gig. Later that night, back on Earth, the sky shimmered with lights. Ships from dozens of worlds hovered in orbit, celebrating with peaceful bursts of color and sound. A rooftop, watching. Lord Varnon stood beside him, arms crossed. "I hated your jokes once," Varnon said. Kyle grinned. "And now, they're tolerable." Kyle laughed. "I'll take it." Varnon looked at the sky. "You gave the galaxy something we forgot." Kyle raised an eyebrow. "What's that? Permission to feel?" Down below, children of every race, human and alien, played in the fields. They wore shirts that said, "Laugh first, fear never." Old enemies now danced together at cultural festivals. Grawl warriors told stories to Zephyr scholars. The Silent Ones built libraries filled with music and jokes, and across the stars, comedians, artists, and dreamers began to rise, because they saw one human do the impossible. He united the galaxy. With a laugh, 1 year later, Kyle walked onto a small comedy stage on Earth. The crowd was small, no aliens, no generals, no pressure, just humans. He tapped the mic, "Good to be home," and, for the first time in a while, he told a joke not to save the galaxy, but just to make someone smile. The end.